Sometimes the most dangerous monsters don't hide in dark alleys. Sometimes they wear uniforms and badges, and walk among us pretending to protect and serve. This is the story of a man who was trusted to fight fire, but who secretly lived to create it. The man who burned a city. The world would come to know him as the Pillow Pyro. It began quietly in the early 1980s across Southern California. Fires started breaking out in strange patterns. One night a hardware store burned down, and a few weeks later, a fabric shop went up in flames. Soon, entire blocks were reduced to ash. People thought it was bad luck or a heatwave or electrical faults. But investigators noticed something eerie. Many of these fires began in sections filled with foam or pillows, and the flames spread with unnatural speed. It was as if someone knew exactly where to strike to make the fire unstoppable. Locals began whispering about a serial arsonist, and the media gave him a name that would chill the nation, the Pillow Pyro. One of the main investigators working on these fires was a man named John Leonard Orr. He was a respected fire captain with the Glendale Fire Department, a husband, a father, and a man people admired. John had a sharp mind. He could walk into a burnt building and tell you where the fire started and what caused it. He had a reputation for solving complex arson cases. Everyone believed he was the hero helping to catch this mysterious arsonist. No one suspected that the man lighting the fires was the same one investigating them. But behind the uniform, John Orr was living a double life. He was obsessed with fire, its sound, its smell, its power. He once said fire was alive, that it breathed and fed like a living thing. To him, it wasn't destruction. It was art. It was beauty. He began to crave the sight of flames curling up walls, the sound of crackling wood, the rush of chaos as firefighters ran towards something he had created. And that obsession began to take control of him completely. In October 1984, a massive fire broke out at a store called Ol's Home Center in South Pasadena. The building was filled with highly flammable foam products, and once the flames started, they spread fast. Customers screamed as black smoke filled the air. Firefighters rushed in, but the fire was too strong. By the time it was out, 4 people were dead, including a mother and her 2-year-old son. Investigators were horrified. The cause was determined to be arson. But the Pillow Pyro had struck again, and he had taken lives this time. Ironically, John Orr himself was one of the lead investigators on the Ol's fire. He walked through the ashes, pretending to look for clues. He took notes and photos and even told reporters that the fire looked professional. He stood there with a serious face while knowing deep down that he was the one who caused it. That was the kind of man he was, calm, confident, and utterly without remorse. As time went on, the fires continued. Dozens of them. Some small, some catastrophic. All of them with one strange signature, a homemade incendiary device built from a cigarette, a rubber band, and a piece of paper. The design was so clever that it allowed the cigarette to burn down slowly, lighting the paper long after the arsonist had left the scene. Investigators across California were baffled. No one could figure out who was setting them, or how they were escaping unseen. Then something unusual happened. In 1987, a conference for arson investigators was held in Fresno. Ironically, fires began breaking out along the exact route that the investigators took to the event. It was almost as if someone was taunting them. One of those attending the conference was John Orr himself. He seemed fascinated by the fires, always arriving early to observe them, always taking detailed notes. But no one thought much of it. After all, he was a fire expert. But soon, one investigator began to notice a pattern. Wherever John Orr traveled, fires followed. He was present at nearly every major blaze. Coincidence? Maybe. But the coincidences began to pile up. So investigators decided to test something. They started secretly tracking arson investigators' vehicles using small transmitters. And when new fires broke out, they checked who had been nearby. Time after time, John Orr's location matched perfectly. The turning point came in 1991 when police recovered an incendiary device that had failed to ignite. It was identical to the ones used in dozens of other fires. The fingerprints on it matched, not to a random suspect, but to Captain John Leonard, or the man who had been hunting the pillow pyro, was the pillow pyro. When they searched his house, what they found was beyond disturbing. Dozens of detailed reports of fires, newspaper clippings, and hundreds of photographs, many taken before firefighters even arrived. It was clear he had been there to watch his work. But that wasn't all. Investigators also found a manuscript for a novel that John had written. It was titled Points of Origin. The story followed a fire investigator, who secretly sets fires to prove his skill, describing in chilling detail how he lights them, how he hides his tracks, and how he feels watching people die. It was a perfect mirror of John's real life. The pillow pyro had written his own confession and disguised it as fiction. During questioning, John denied everything. He claimed it was all coincidence, that his research and his presence were just part of his job. But the evidence spoke louder than his lies. His fingerprints, his handwriting, his travel logs, everything pointed to him. Over the years, he had been responsible for hundreds of fires across California. Some estimates said more than 2,000 fires could be linked to him. The damage was beyond comprehension. Millions of dollars lost, entire neighborhoods burned, and lives destroyed, all caused by the man who was supposed to protect them. In 1992, John Orr was finally arrested and charged with multiple counts of arson and murder. During the trial, prosecutors called him one of the most dangerous serial arsonists in American history. They played tapes of him describing how fire felt like power. They read excerpts from his own novel, where his fictional self lit fires for pleasure. The evidence was overwhelming. In 1998, John Leonard Orr was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Even behind bars, he never showed true remorse. In interviews, he claimed he was misunderstood, that he had only ever wanted to study fire. But no one believed him. His own words betrayed him. In his book, the main character described the moment of lighting a match as an act of creation. That was who he truly was, a man who found beauty in destruction. Today, John Orr remains in prison. His story became a cautionary tale in firefighting history, the man who fought fires by day and started them by night. The pillow pyro burned homes, livings, and trust. And even though the flames he created have long gone cold, the fear he left behind still burns quietly in the minds of those who remember. Because sometimes, the one who runs into the fire is the one who lit it. If you found this story as chilling as I did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories every week. Stay safe, and remember, not every hero wears a halo. Some carry a lighter.